And we're live. Welcome to the channel, guys. Carlos, welcome back. Thank you for coming. Real
Thank
interesting
you.
topic today. I know you've been getting a lot of calls from South Carolina contractors. I've been getting a lot of calls from South Carolina contractors. It seems like the construction industry is really in a boom in South Carolina right now. So it's a great time to get the license, get in the game. Um, so want to get the information out to the people, man. What are the most common questions you're hearing when you're answering a call for a South Carolina license?
Welcome everybody, first and foremost, and happy holidays. We're coming up in that season at the end of the year. That everybody is either focusing on their family and what to be thankful about, and the whole holiday season. But also, it happens that it's also the time of the year where everybody wants to get their license before the new year's coming through. A couple of things that I like to let our fans and our people know is that they are different licenses and they're very specific on the scope of work that you're going to do. Okay. So, for example, if you're doing residential projects, only strictly residential projects, whether it's remodeling, building new homes, where it's a multi-family, or commercial projects or industrial or specifically plumbing, HVAC, electrical. So the state of South Carolina is very specific on those scopes of work. They have very specific exams for each one of them. And obviously, depending on the license, the books are going to be different. The process of study might be a little bit different as well, but we're here to help you throughout that process.
So the books, these are open book exams, right, Carlos?
They are. And regardless of which license, there's going to be two exams. There's the business portion and then there's the trade portion. There might be a situation where an exam is combined, where the business and the trade are together within the same exam. But, there's two parts for the exams uh, or for the state of South Carolina. I apologize for that little lapse of memory there.
No, no problem. Thank you, thank you. So open book exams, right? True with all the open book exams, not just South Carolina. They're less about what you know and more about can you find the answer in the books before you run out of time. Now, you mentioned two exams, right? I
Yes.
tell all my South Carolina people it's a three-step process, right?
It is. It
It's a
is.
business and finance exam, a trade exam, and an application to the state. Now, South Carolina, it's always those three steps, but residential commercial, the orders get changed up. For the
Co-
residential, we're doing application first. For the commercial, we're doing application second or
Correct.
third,
So
excuse me, after the two exams.
after the two exams, correct. So here's what happens in South Carolina. If you're going to be a residential contractor, whether it is builder, electrical, HVAC, or plumbing, you have to get approved for the testing before anything. Okay, you got to get through that application process. We can help you with that as well. It is one of the services that we do provide. So reach out to us and we'll be more than happy to go over those details with you. Now, for the commercial aspect of the licenses, whether you're getting the general contractor or any commercial level license, you do the exams first. So you go through step one, step two, and then once you're done with testing, we submit that formal application with the state where you're going to state your experience and your accounting report and all that other good stuff that goes along with it.
Right. So the application, I get a ton of questions about the application as well as the scope. One common one that comes up for me is if I want to do residential and commercial work, I'll tell them, you do commercial work, you need 4 years experience under a licensed contractor. Oh, I have that. I've been in the trade 20 years. Okay, great. But I want to do residential and commercial work. I have to take four exams.
No, no, you do not. So there is a combined license, where you can do residential and commercial.
It's the
Uh,
commercial, right? The commercial, if you have the commercial license in South Carolina, you're covered for the residential work, correct?
Correct. So, for example, also like the NASCLA National General Contractors is also applicable for the state of South Carolina, and that will allow you to do commercial and residential regardless of the size of scope of work that you're going to do. You know, and again, that really depends on what level. And this is very common in South Carolina. A lot of people that work in South Carolina will cross over borders with Georgia and North Carolina and Tennessee. So a lot of times I will recommend the NASCLA general contractor because if you do that portion of the exam, especially for the trade portion of the exam, you are covered in most of those adjacent states. You may have to do the business portion for the other states, but it saves you a ton of money. It saves you a lot of time, and you're covered to do work in, I believe it is 15, 17 different states, including U.S. Virgin Islands.
Yep, it's pretty much all the Southeast, even Florida will accept it. They throw in, they have their special Florida building code course, but even Florida will accept those NASCLA exam scores for a general contractor's license.
Correct.
So if you were going to be a GC, and to Carlos's point, if you do find yourself you're on the border with South Carolina, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and you're back and forth, definitely a great option, that NASCLA GC exam. Because I mean, the whole goal is you want to get to work, right? You don't want to spend, you have a business to run, you got jobs to oversee, right? No one wants to spend more time than they have to studying for exams and passing exams and submitting paperwork to the state. So anything that can minimize that, we definitely highly recommend. Um,
Correct. And one thing as well is a lot of people wonder, well, what should I need a residential license for, and what do I need a commercial license for? I always say, listen, to cover yourself, if you have a project that is going to be above $10,000, make sure you have your commercial license. If it is, $10,000 or less, or strictly residential that is in somebody's home, then you can stick with the residential portion. But this is a very common question that I've been encountering lately with our South Carolina people that they wonder, should I get a commercial license or should I just get a residential license? So yes, there's a difference in books, there's a difference in price, but the hard part, which is the studying and the material and the content and learning how to use these books during the test is pretty much the same across the board.
So when all my students, when we're discussing their options, I'm always going to recommend you want to go for the highest level of license you can get approved for, right? Because you don't want to have
Correct.
to go back and take more tests when you're looking to expand the scope of your business, things like that. Now, to that end, though, I don't want to knock the residential licenses, especially in South Carolina. The residential license, can open a lot of doors for you. You can make a lot of money with that license. And one thing that I've always found very interesting about South Carolina is for a residential license, residential classification, you can build single family homes. You can do multifamily up to 16 units. You can't go over 3 stories in height. Important.
Correct.
Okay. You can do all this work. It's a lot of work out there for the residential license. And the one thing that's I've always been impressed by South Carolina is they only require 1 year of experience under a licensed contractor for that residential license. Whereas you go to other states, Florida, for example, is 4, Tennessee's 3, I believe Georgia for their residential's 2. So to get
Correct.
in the residential game in South Carolina, the hurdle's not as high as most think. And um, I got to think there's a lot of people out there who would love to go for the license. They just think they have to pay more dues, put in more time, and that might not be the case.
Correct. And one thing in that same tone is that, getting your residential license, let's look at the amount of work out there in the industry. 80% of the available work, it's residential. That's just a fact. That is a statistical fact. So 80% of the available work for our contractors, it's going to be residential. Now, let's say you want to move up down the road, you can do so. One of the conveniences is that you may not have to do the business exam again. However, if you decide and you can get approved for the commercial exam, you can take that commercial exam and focus on your residential jobs first. And then when the opportunity comes in, you already have that license. So there's a lot of ways to look at this, but again, like you say, a lot of people get focused on, well, I want to get the largest license. You might not have the prior experience required by the state, but that doesn't mean let's look down on the residential license because most of the available work, statistically, it's going to be residential work. And whether you think so or not, whether you think you don't need to pull permits, a lot of times people get in trouble for doing contractor work without a license. A city or a county inspector comes in and he's going to stop the work that you have. It might give you a cease and desist order just because you don't have a license, but you have all the qualifications to be able to do so just because you didn't do your exam. So avoid those conflicts, avoid those problems. Let's get your license in your hands. Give us a call, send us an email that'll be listed right here, and we'd be more than happy to assist you.
Yeah, no, Carlos, two very, very good points there. Everybody wants to be a GC, right? Everybody wants to be a GC, but 80% of the work, you don't need to be an unlimited builder to get in that game. And, talk to residential builders. They're doing just fine, They don't have any complaints. Um, So also I want to encourage, don't sell yourself short, right? There's money to be made right now, and you don't want to tell yourself, oh, there's no point taking these tests just to be a residential. I'm going to wait another 2 years until I can test for the commercial. If you're ready to go now, get it done. Get the residential
Absolutely.
because that's 2 years where you're making significantly less money than frankly you would be capable of. And we all know in the grand scheme of things, if you're investing in an IRA, that's you're missing out on the compounding interest, man. It's as simple as that, right? Like
Absolutely. 100%. Same methodology.
yeah.
So,
Um So yeah, important distinction, right? Residential, they require 1 year of experience under a licensed contractor in the field that you're going for. So, obviously you're not gonna, apply to be a residential builder and tell them, I worked for an electrician for a year, right?
yeah,
That's not
correct.
gonna
Yes, it's
work.
got to be within the scope of work that you're looking to do.
Same with the commercial. Now, the commercial is interesting. South Carolina requires 2 years of experience within the past 5 years, different from a number of states, right? Because they
Correct.
have that, it has to have been relatively recent. Only 2 years, which is not as high as a lot of municipalities, but within the last five, that's an interesting nuance in there. They want to make sure it's recent. And again, they're not gonna, if you put down experience that you were working for a commercial plumber, they're not going to let you be an unlimited builder, right? You could be a
Correct.
commercial plumber. So, and I mean, most people know this. I'm sure it sounds like common sense to most people listening right now, but let me tell you, I've had guys who, I want to be a builder. Okay, do you have the experience? Yeah, yeah, I got it. No problem. Been doing it 20 years. Down the road, my applications team, they're calling me and they're saying, "Hey, this guy, can you talk to him? Because he keeps telling me about his tree experience and he's trying to build houses."
Yeah.
So,
I get a lot of, and actually one of the most common issues here is a lot of guys that want to get their HVAC license, but they've only done plumbing and
right.
vice versa. Because it is in the scope of work, it kind of goes hand in hand. But please, guys, make sure that you have that experience in that field. It has to be within that field. If you're going to go for HVAC, so you need to have experience in HVAC. If you're going to go for plumbing, you need to have experience in plumbing. If you're going to go for structural building, so your experience has to be within structural building. And again, for South Carolina, one of the good things is that the time requirement is a lot smaller than most states in the nation. It actually, really putting some thought behind it. It might be some of the shortest experience required, period, for licensed states. So
Especially in the Southeast specifically.
100%. So, it's and the license, it is also pretty reciprocal with a lot of other states. Even if you get a residential, let's say you don't get the NASCLA commercial contractor, the license is reciprocal in several other states, but give us a call. We can go over those details with you.
One thing you mentioned I want to point out, you made an important distinction, structural building, right? If you're going to get a building license, they want to see structural building experience under a licensed building contractor, right?
Correct.
Now, A license in South Carolina, there's a non-structural building license. Okay. And I just want to put this out there because we're coming up on the end of the year. Right now, to get this non-structural building license, it's a commercial license technically. Right now, all you have to do is take the commercial business and finance exam and submit your application to apply for this license. Beginning January 1st, this non-structural renovation license is going to be just like all the other ones. They're throwing a trade exam at you with like 8 books, right? So now all of a sudden it went from a very obtainable license for, guys who aren't doing the structure, right? Renovation type guys, redoing kitchens, things like that, to now they have to take an exam, two exams that's going to be very similar to a building exam, frankly. So if you're doing non-structural renovations and that's something that you're looking to start your own business, get into, get your application in before the end of the year. Get the business book, go sit for the business exam, and get that application in before January 1st. Save yourself a lot of time, a lot of money. I'm all about minimizing headaches for my people, so I really wanted to get that out there.
100%. And another thing is that there are certain residential specialty licenses as well that do not require examination. You still have to register. They're considered registrations instead of more than licenses. But like vinyl and aluminum siding rather, masons, masonry work, drywall, carpentry. So again, we go back to that non-structural
Right.
labor. Okay. So right now, for the remainder of the year, they're letting it go by with just a commercial business and law exam, one book, simple exam. You can get it done very, very quickly. Where versus once the 2025 rolls in, you're going to have to take the business exam and the trade portion. You're going to look at substantially more money, more time, more effort. And, as we know in construction industry, time is money, my friends. So let's make it happen.
Speaking of time, we're coming up on it. So before we go here, Carlos, we've bounced around, we've covered a lot of good topics. I think we got a lot of good information out. But meat and potatoes, all right? Let's do residential first and then we'll do commercial. I call
Okay.
you, I want to get my residential contractor's license. Forget about the trade, it doesn't matter. All right? I want to get a residential contractor's license. What do I need? How do I get going?
Okay, so 3 steps. We need to submit your application with the state. Okay, you need to meet the qualifications on the time and experience, and you need to go ahead and get your books, study, pass those 2 exams. Okay, you need to pass the business and law and the trade portion, whether you're doing building, electrical, HVAC, or plumbing. It's going to be 2 exams, but the application needs to get submitted before you can take the exams. All right. And this is also something that we can help you from beginning to end. We can offer you the books tab and highlight it. You will have access to all the practice questions and exams 24 hours a day. And we have packages where if you do not want to keep the books, you can return them back to us and we're going to give you a reimbursement for that. So those are the 3 processes for the residential contractors in that order: application, business and law, trade portion of the exam. The state's going to review everything once you are done with those exams, and you finally be awarded with your license. So let's start making money.
Yeah. So one of the things we have the Jumpstart package, right? And I love offering that to our students because it's the application assistance which we provide where our specialists make sure your application's perfect, right? Minimize the delays. It also includes everything you need for step one, that business exam. So while the application's being prepared, while the state's reviewing it, you're studying for the business exam. The moment you get that candidate ID number, you're taking the business exam, you just have the trade exam left and you're licensed. So it's a great place to start because like I always tell my students, more than happy to send you all the books right now, but the fact of the matter is you're only going to be studying from one of them for a few weeks and the rest of them, depend on your trade, you're going to have anywhere from 20 to 40 pounds of books sitting in a corner somewhere you're not touching, right? So why not break it up, take it a step at a time. We can make this super manageable and one foot in front of the other, you're licensed before you know it.
Correct, absolutely. And one of the good thing is that we will honor those reimbursements, if we do the Jumpstart package, we will go ahead and apply some of the balance on the reimbursement for the business book into and towards your trade portion of the books. It just makes it easier in your pocketbook. Listen, most of us are licensed contractors at one point or another. We've been in the industry, so we know it's all about managing your income and outcome when it comes to your pocket money. So we need to be smart with it. You get on that Jumpstart package, we'll go ahead, we'll provide you with all the assistance you need with the application and the business portion. Get started with the first phase of the project first. Let's look at it in construction terminology, right? So, we're discussing the contract, which is the application, and we are preparing ourselves once we get that candidate number so we can start the project right away, which is taking that first part of the exam. Return that business book to us. We're going to accredit you that reimbursement into your trade portion of the books. Now you can start studying that portion, knock it out of the park with our top shelf, top tier material that we have and content for you. Knock it, get your license. Let's start making money.
Okay, awesome. So residential, got you covered. What about commercial? Ring ring, Carlos, I want to be a commercial contractor, South Carolina. What do I need to do?
Okay, so commercial, we're going to have a quick little discussion on the scope of work that you will actually be doing. Okay, I want to make sure that you do qualify because now it's going to be a little bit different. Now we need to focus on the exams first and foremost. The state's not going to bother to look at anything without those exams done. So, business and law exam first, trade portion of the exam second, and then we will help you to submit that application with the state once your exams are done. And again, same process. We have those books, we have all that top tier content, all the exams, all the practice questions, everything that you need to assist you to pass your exams. And we can also, again, help you with the commercial applications as well. And we offer that reimbursement if you do not want to keep your books, making everything a little bit more economical at the long run.
Awesome, awesome. So for any license in South Carolina, Carlos, anybody in our audience wants to get started, how do they get in touch with you?
Absolutely. Listen, you can send me an email to my direct email, which is carlos@oneexamprep.com. I believe there'll be a link somewhere around here for you. And my direct phone number, it is 954-414-0293. 954-414-0293. I believe there'll be a link also here in the screen at some point. And give me a call. We'll go over the details and find out exactly what you need and help you to the quickest and most effective way to get license in your hands.
Awesome, awesome. Carlos, as always, it's been a pleasure, sir. Thank you so much for taking the time today.
My pleasure, Andrew. You guys have a great day and see you again in our next episode.
Thank you guys. Have a great day, everybody.